Hey guys, we start our day today on what may be a little bit more of a heated note. We may be dealing with some irritability or just feeling a little bit more hostile generally, sort of over things maybe in one way or another. But as the day progresses, this is definitely going to change around noon or so. And by the end of the day, we should find ourselves generally in a place where we are seeking to rebalance our internal state and come back in alignment with some type of inner peace, inner balance. There is some healing energy also that is facilitating this sort of transition and energy that we're dealing with today. But we got a Sag moon today, you guys, making aspects. Let's jump into the report, talk about how this is playing out. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today is Tuesday, April 19th, 2022. My name is Aubrey, and this is your astrological outlook of the day. So we have three primary aspects that are going on today as a result of the moon in Sagittarius. The moon is going to be first forming a square to Mars. This is like more in the early hours. By the time we get to about noon, midday Eastern time, this energy is going to be dissipating. We also then will have the moon come into a trine with Chiron, the wounded healer teacher archetype. And after that, the moon will move on and form a square to Venus. So we're going to talk about all of these three aspects, the progression of them, but generally today, how we start the day is probably not how we're going to be feeling by the time we end the day. And this is also our first time in 9 months that we have the moon transiting the sign of Sagittarius that is not bringing up and triggering black moon energy. We have had the black moon in Gemini for the past 9 months, and every time the moon went into either Gemini or Sagittarius, it was triggering the black moon energy, really bringing up some shadow side issues. Well, the black moon has recently ended its transit through the sign of Gemini and has moved into Cancer. And so this is our first Sag cycle since the black moon has moved that is not going to be bringing up those black moon issues for us today, although we are dealing with the square to Mars, which we'll talk about that in a minute. That can be a little bit iffy on its own. But also considering the fact that, we're in moon Sag ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is also in a conjunction to Neptune right now, though it is no longer exact to the degree. There's still only 1 degree apart, and so it's still very much in effect too. So this really puts an emphasis on this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction going on right now in the sign of Pisces, and this massive spiritual awakening, spiritual healing, spiritual alignment, and the soul yearning in a lot of cases right now that it is calling us on to really come into just a greater understanding of our own spiritual nature, a greater ability to connect, to the higher realms and to higher power, and just a very expanded sense of faith and trust in the divine right now coming through this energy, this Jupiter Neptune. I mean, if you follow astrology, you know all about this, but it's really representing a resurgence in spirituality, a spiritual renaissance amongst the collective of humanity in this aspect. And throughout this entire 2022 astrological lunar cycle, throughout this whole year actually, as this aspect was a fundamental feature of the chart. So this is also being sort of emphasized today by the fact that the moon is transiting Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter in that conjunction. So we got a bunch going on today. Let's start at the top with this moon in Sagittarius forming the square to Mars in Pisces to start the day. Again, a lot of you guys are probably going to be missing this because it's going to be going on throughout the course of the night. You may have been feeling it last night, in the evening. Tensions may have been rising a little bit, but the moon in Sag, this is a fire sign, so this has a tendency of sort of lighting a fire within us when we have the moon transiting a fire sign anyways. Mars, of course, is the fire planet ruling, anger, hostility, aggression. Also, though, in Pisces, sort of the spiritual warrior and also our motivation, our energy, our willpower, things like that. Actually, you guys, this day holds a tremendous amount of creative potential. And I should probably state up front that creatively channeling our energy into one thing or another is sort of a good way to blow off steam in this energy today as well, because that may be a feature of something we're dealing with, sort of just feeling a need to blow off some steam. First of all, we're dealing with, again, the moon in Sagittarius, a fire sign forming a square to Mars, the fire planet, in the sign of Pisces. This is like fire and water. This is that steam energy. Squares bring tension, squares bring conflict, sense maybe of inner, again, this angst or irritability, but it's because because there's sort of two things working against each other, but whenever we have a square operating in an effect, it's coming into this 90-degree angle. This conflict is forming so that some type of resolution can eventually come from it that really opens things up and takes them to a higher, more expanded level in one way or another. But just generally, when we have a moon in square to Mars, this can bring sort of like needless disputes because of the sense of general irritability, like more extreme or volatile emotions, like emotionalism, rash action, like hastiness to like make decisions or act in some type of way. This aspect can also make it like hard to handle other people. Like, I'm just sort of over the situation. Like, I can't do it anymore. I can't handle you. I can't handle this. Like, I just am at my boiling point, sort of, in this energy we may feel. We really, with a Mars and a Mars moon square going on, we don't want to sort of make mountains out of molehills. Like, that's kind of what can have a tendency of happening in this energy when we have these two planets in square, is like acting on or letting some steam out or overreacting to like general annoyance or just something that we're irritated by, that it's not that big of a deal, but because of how we act or emotionally respond to it, it like then becomes this big deal that we have to deal with later, that maybe like goes to a place that we had no desire of like taking it at all. And with Jupiter and Neptune in the conjunction as well, we do want to make sure that we're seeing things clearly and that we're not operating under any type of like delusion in terms of, again, the action or aggression that we might like have a desire to take in this energy as a result of feeling that we're just at this boiling point, or we just have this steam like blowing out of our ears or something like that. Like, there may be real tensions or grievances that do need to be expressed in this energy, but we don't want to, again, like provoke our annoyances be as like a mechanism of sort of just like releasing some tension going on within us, because again, they can end up having like effects in the future, consequences that we weren't really necessarily prepared to deal with, or we realize we didn't actually even feel that way. This again is a moon transit, and it's going to be changing quickly. By the time, again, that we get halfway through the day today, it's really going to start shifting. So this is the vibe that we might wake up in this morning, but we should do our best not to attach to it and not to really act from that place of that more anger or just like eruptive emotion or something like that. If, you know, sort of, again, practice the self-discipline and self-control that Mars in a conjunction to Saturn recently were really trying to help us with, it's probably a better way to navigate this energy, because by the time that we get through the day, we are going to be coming to this place of really actually wanting to look for a solution to restore the peace or restore the balance or just some aspect of something that is bothering us within us. We're going to be seeking solutions to any type of like inner conflict going on sort of by the end of the day. So we don't want to do things in the beginning of the day that are going to turn into something that we don't really want to handle or deal with, because that's not actually how we truly feel as we get through later in the day. These conflicts and disputes coming up today also, like, they might have to do with beliefs and truths specifically, because we're talking about the signs of Sagittarius ruling like truths and belief systems, and also the sign of Pisces, which also has to do with our spirituality and our connection and beliefs. And with Jupiter there as well, Jupiter Neptune conjunction, this is also these truths that we're coming to right now as well. So there could definitely be some conflict, some things coming to a head, and they could in some way center around these beliefs or these truths, or just some type of like pressure building as a result of something like that. Maybe some type of recent spiritual awakening that we've come to or something like that. I don't know. It could also be bringing up like an internal conflict or frustrations over actions that we like either are or are not taking at this point in time, and also beliefs that we have right now about ourselves, faith that we have in ourselves and our ability to sort of persevere through the struggles that may be presenting today. Mars also, you know, anger turned inwards can also result in depression. That's really what depression is. And with the moon ruling our emotions and the square to Mars and Pisces, this is also a feeling sign. We do want to be careful about, again, like just being too critical on ourselves today or on our beliefs or just the things that we are finding and discovering right now and what that may mean for us going forward, or any way that this could play out, because this could just lead to us feeling some type of like unnecessary depression depression in this energy. We are, though, talking about the moon and Mars, and this is also this energy can be used very creatively. You know, we can really like use that emotional pain or that emotional angst or whatever we may be going through in this dynamic or the hostility, like to like channel into some type of creative activity. And I'm not just saying that because of this specific aspect. There's actually indications of this like idea of today being a very creative day and like woven in throughout the entire chart, which we'll talk about more as we get through the report. But wanted to say that as well. So that's basically the moon in square to Mars. Again, for a lot of you, you may not even be dealing with this today, but for those of us who sort of wake up in this energy on the wrong side of the bed, maybe even feeling that, this may be why. But again, it will change as we get through this day, just feeling aggressive or angry or combative or depressed to start the day. So that may be something that we're dealing with, but we won't be for long. After the moon moves out of square with Mars, it will move into this trine with Chiron. Now, trines, this is our facilitating aspect of the day. Actually, we have two more conflicting aspects being brought to us by the moon and Sag, but this trine, this is a facilitating aspect. This is assisting us. So trines help things fall into place in one way or another and assist things to happen. And this is Chiron. This is the energy that is ruling our healing process. And so with the moon and Sag, after making that square to Mars, coming into the trine with Chiron, this is actually like some type of shift is likely to occur that takes our like the energy from a desire to sort of like externalize and project more, because that's really what it is with the Mars in square to the moon. It's like this internal just angst or anger or depression or tension that we're feeling. We have a tendency to project out, and that's what can make us more confrontational or combative or just like create these mountain out of molehill scenarios. But as we get, midway through the day and this trine comes into effect, this is likely to actually have us in some way, like energetically seeking some type of healing or coming into some type of like healing or some type of realization that helps us to see perhaps the bigger picture in some type of a way, with the moon also in Sagittarius ruling the bigger picture and the role that whatever may have been triggering us actually is having or playing in our healing process right now. So for whatever reason, like at some point transitioning throughout the day, we're likely to go from like, you're bothering me, it's all your fault, like leave me alone, to sort of like, why did I act that way? Why did I react that way? What's going on within me that is making me feel like so irritated with such a like simple situation, or like just generally like not that significant like irritation right now, causing us to maybe turn inwards and examine some of our own issues and sort of seek some healing or some solutions so that we can sort of transcend the energy that we were experiencing earlier in the day. It's almost like this square that we were experiencing first is sort of pushing us or acting as some type of catalyst to get us like back on track on our hero's journey that we are on collectively this year. Remember, the new moon in Aries was in a conjunction to Chiron. Chiron is a major theme and archetype all year long. So, whatever happens earlier in the day may be sort of pushing us to this place of getting back in alignment with that hero's journey and like figuring out, the next step in our healing process based on whatever was triggering us earlier. And then it makes sense because after that, again, the moon will move on and move into a square with Venus, who is also in Pisces, in the later degrees of Pisces, 17 degrees of Pisces. And the moon squaring Venus, this is actually like a much more gentle square aspect than we get with a lot of the other planets. And it actually should have us feeling like a lot lighter, or, it could have us having sort of a desire to just like avoid maybe the situations that we created earlier. But generally, when the moon comes into the square with Venus, this is the energy that is going to have us seeking to reestablish that inner peace, that inner balance, like that inner value, self-love, like reestablish a sense of comfort going on internally as we move through this energy. So it's very interesting how these three dynamics are playing out. Like at first, it's like we just have this irritation and we're externalizing things more based on conflicts that are going on within us. And then we sort of go through this facilitating healing realization, or something that is just sort of having us look back inwards at ourselves and what is causing us to act out in this way. And then sort of we are in this process with it still being a square, of like maybe like having to figure out how we can rebalance the state of our emotions in that way that can return us to a sense of internal peace, internal comfort. This is also another very creative aspect with the moon forming moon in Sagittarius too, forming a square to Venus in Pisces, while Jupiter, ruler of Sag, and Neptune, ruler of Pisces, well, Jupiter is also the ruler of Pisces, but Neptune and Jupiter are both together in Pisces with the moon in Sagittarius and Venus in Pisces. This is a very, very creative energy as well. And we can really like tap into like our higher creative potential today, some divinely inspired like artistic endeavors, or like a connection to music, or engaging in like books or literature, or just any type of creativity generally today can be very beneficial, not only as like an outlet for things that we may be feeling and need to express, but also in terms of helping us to move our life forward in a more positive direction. If we focus on really creating some things today, or aligning our mind's eye and our inner vision with what we want to create to, you know, beautify our lives. Also, yeah, we could be putting some time into just like beautifying the environment around us and stuff today as well, or just sort of getting lost in like a really good book or something like that. There is this healing energy that is coming in for us, and that can really help us, again, align with a more positive outlook for the way that we want to be taking things going forward with this energy. Venus today, it's interesting, is also at, as I said, 16 degrees of Pisces. And the Sabian symbol of that degree is in the quiet of his study, a creative individual experiences a flow of inspiration. So we have these three planets, you know, coming into a square with the moon today. We could have these fluctuating emotions going on, but Mars in square to the moon, this can be an actively creative energy as well, and it's a good outlet for any of the just more heated feelings, steam emotions that we may be feeling. The moon in square to Venus in Pisces, this is also a very creative aspect, a very creative energy for being able to tap into some more divinely inspired energy and really channel it down and use it as a means of artistically expressing ourselves, you know, through writing, through art, through design, through anything that can like beautify or stabilize the comfort level either internally or externally in our like physical reality around us. And then we also have Venus at that degree today, specifically talking about in the quiet hour of a study, a creative individual experiences the flow of inspiration. So there really is a very strong creative energy that is woven into what we have going on today. And that also makes sense considering that we have the moon in Sag, ruled by Jupiter, in a conjunction to Neptune. And this is also like a very, very, very potently divinely inspired creative energy that is really trying to actually help us manifest our dreams into reality going through this 2022 year. And, you know, remember, just the fact that we have these two planets in the conjunction right now with the moon in Sagittarius, actually, now that the black moon is no longer there, that on its like face value, if you take that Mars square out of it today, this is a very uplifting and positive energy and vibe. Like, you know, it may not even be that negative feeling with the Mars square today, simply because we do have Venus, or we do have Jupiter and Neptune in a conjunction with the moon in Sagittarius for the first time, minus the black moon. We may actually be feeling like inspired and sort of fired up today, and that actually may be what is sort of causing the conflict in one way or another, either internally, again, in terms of the things that we're doing or that we're not doing, and whether or not we are being like overly critical on our ability to act, or, you know, that we can't act in some way at this point in time. And it can also be triggering these conflicts or fights going on about, you know, belief systems and stuff, and our truths, as well, as this is really like indicating a very emotional alignment with the spiritual awakening that's going on right now. It is likely over this next couple days with the moon in Sagittarius to really, really have us seeking that spiritual truth and that spiritual connection, that spiritual awakening that is represented by the conjunction of these two planets. As again, this is the moon. This is our internal environment. This is our emotions. This is our soul. in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter in the conjunction to Neptune right now, really activating that conjunction, bringing us into an emotional alignment with this yearning to connect to the higher power and to really understand it better and incorporate it more into our emotional reality and also like the physical, tangible reality that we are experiencing. We have Jupiter right now at 26 degrees of Pisces. That Sabian symbol is a new moon reveals that it's time for people to go ahead with their different projects. And this degree is also a very creative degree. It's talking about a new moon. This is the seed planting time. This is when we set our intentions. This is when we, do our rituals and manifestation or whatever manifestation techniques and practices we utilize. Like this is really when we align our inner vision with the things that we want to create and to unfold over the time that cycle is developing. And with Jupiter at this degree, while we have the moon in Sagittarius, again, I feel like this is talking about this very potent creative window that we are in right now in this energy with the moon in Sagittarius, moon also squaring Mars, moon also squaring Venus in Pisces, while Jupiter is in the conjunction to Neptune. Very powerful manifestation energy that we have going on. We also have the Earth today at 30 degrees of Libra. This is our last day of Sun in Aries, you guys. The sun is going to be moving into Taurus tomorrow, definitely switching up the vibes. But today we are at our last degree of the sun in Aries, the earth in Libra. And I'm looking at the earth right now, 30 degrees of Libra today, 3 mounds of knowledge on a philosopher's head. And with the earth at this position today, again, like 3, this is a number of creativity and creation. And these 3 mounds of knowledge are on the philosopher's head. Like, what are we going to do with it? What are we going to create with it? What are we going to birth with it? And again, with this Jupiter degree as well, talking about the new moon reveals it's time for people to go ahead with different projects, this seed planting time, this manifestation potential, and also the moon making the aspects to Venus and Mars and Pisces today, pushing for this ability to create from like a very deep place in our soul and in alignment with a divine inspiration that we may be receiving. I do feel like, again, like I've said several times, utilizing a creative outlet, channeling into a creative outlet is a good way to use the energy today if we're feeling like some just types of irritation, conflict that's making us feel a little bit overly aggressive or overly combative in some type of way. We do want to avoid like overindulging too much or engaging in any type of escapism today. The only sort of tricky part also of this energy, the Venus square moon energy that actually is pushing for us to be able to come back into that place of like inner peace and inner comfort as we get through the later parts of the day. The flip side of this energy is it could also be sort of pushing us to like overindulge or to avoid things or to want to just like escape from our reality. That's one thing that we definitely always have to like look out for when we have Pisces energy going on and the moon in square. So on one hand, instead of seeking to restore the peace and the balance through this healing process, we want to watch out for sort of seeking to restore the peace and the balance through avoiding the healing process or hiding from things, hiding from reality, hiding from situations, overindulging. But I can definitely see us needing like a little bit of self-care, a little bit of like pampering, like a little bit of extra indulgence as we get to the end of the day after what we may be navigating earlier in the day and this healing, like revelation or idea or understanding that we may come to. We may be just giving ourselves a little bit of a break, I guess is what I'm trying to say, as we move forward through the day and through the energy. But you guys, that essentially is what I have to say about the energy today. We really don't have much going on aside from these 3 aspects. But again, what the moon is doing is generally very significant. We still have Jupiter and Neptune in conjunction as well, obviously, which is a very significant aspect and ongoing right now. But yeah, it's primarily the moon. And it's funny also because the moon is making these aspects to 3 different planets. And there's the number 3 again, like these 3 mounds on the philosopher's head, this number of creation. So creativity is the way today. Tap this energy for creativity. creativity, creative means, a good way to use the energy. So that's what we got for the stars today, you guys. Let's move on and talk about the tarot for just a minute. Was shuffling the deck this morning, asking God, Spirit, Universe, please clarify the collective energy. What do we have going on right now? Give me some symbols that can just act as a mechanism for interpreting where we're at in our collective transition into the age of Aquarius right now in this moment today. And it's interesting. I got 5 cards coming out today, so we've got a little bit of a story to talk about, but we'll see how this message resonates and translates. But the first card that we have coming out of the deck today was the Wheel of Fortune. We haven't gotten this card much lately. This is basically like the tides are turning in our favor in one way or another. Things are about to be getting unstuck. Things are about to start moving forward in some like fated or divinely aligned ways. And so that was the first card that we had coming out. And it's like the second card that we had coming out is the 4 of Cups. And then after that, we had the 10 of Wands. And this is sort of telling me, like, generally, we may be feeling at this point in time sort of apathetic to things, just sort of like unimpressed maybe, or just not very, like a little pessimistic maybe, and just generally overburdened and maybe like a little disoriented or confused, or like, how much longer is this situation going to last? Like, I'm just sort of over it. Again, sort of the vibe that we might also be getting from the moon and square to Mars today, of just like being over it, like being over the situation, like not being interested, like just sort of like, like I'm just done with this. This is sort of the vibe that these two things are giving me right now. But then the cards that we had coming out after that were the Queen of Cups and the Magician. And so, you know, when we consider that the Wheel of Fortune was our first card out, it's like we are really just right on the brink of this major transition right now that is going to put us back in some type of an emotional state of self-empowerment and control over our emotions, and in alignment with our heart space, and in recognition of the truth of the power that we have inside of us, the Magician. And then on the back of the deck, we have the Ace of Wands. And this is talking about some type of new inspiration, creative inspiration, new passion, divinely inspired, like, situation coming in that is like restoring our hope or our faith or our desire to persevere and continue on in a fresh new direction in one way or another. This is like a very fresh inspiration, fresh like creative surge of energy or motivation or willpower or determination that is inspiring us to move forward. And so I feel like in combination, all of these cards right now are sort of saying, like, whatever we're facing in this moment, however things are going, like, we really need to not lose hope that it's just never going to get better and that it's always going to be the same, like, burden that we're carrying, because there is some type of, like, fated situation or just, like, rebalancing again of the scales, or like turning of the clock, or like things starting to work in our favor, or just some type of forward movement or like stroke of luck or something that is coming in to really like lift our burden and re-inspire us with this Ace of Wands. It's like this new inspiration, like setting us up with some new inspiration and some new motivation to have some hope. And we're going from the 4 of Cups to the Queen of Cups. So simultaneous, like, whatever, like, new direction or sudden windfall in one way or another, or just switch up that occurs in this energy right now, it is taking us from, I guess, the state of like more sense of apathy to really being in alignment with our heart center and the truth of our value and our self-love, and feeling powerful, feeling in control, feeling like we really do have everything within us to create this fresh new start based on this new inspiration. So I don't exactly, know obviously with the Wheel of Fortune, you can't really predict that. But it's definitely going to be doing something. Again, we're going from the 10 of Wands to the Ace of Wands to give us a fresh start and lift the burden. And we're going from the 4 of Cups, this just like general lack of enthusiasm with our current circumstances, or even what is coming to us, or the potential of what is coming to us, just sort of the sense of, again, like general apathy to the Queen of Cups and the Magician, really truly being emotionally inspired to create based on this new inspiration and the ability to set down this burden and to really grasp a hold of that cup and be reinvigorated by it in one way or another. So, interesting tarot message today. Let me know if that resonates with any of you guys. Now I'm going to grab us a synchronicity card. Let's see if there is any additional advice or information that God wants to give us today. We had one jump out of the deck. Let's see what it says. Wait. It says wait. I don't know that we've gotten this card before. Maybe we have. I don't remember. It says, wait on the Lord and he shall save thee. Proverbs 20:22. Relax, let go, and let God. Don't struggle to make things happen before they are ready to happen. This is that moon square Mars energy that I was talking about, like this inner angst, this inner tension about like things that we either are doing that we like maybe don't want to be doing or shouldn't be doing, or things that we are not doing that we want to be doing but that aren't happening for us, that may have us in this place. It's like having us project. Anyways, relax, let go, and let God. Don't struggle to make things happen before they are ready to happen. Wait and be assured everything is working together for your good. Now is not the right time to advance. Wait in faith and expectancy of the very best. Know that when the time comes to advance, you will be directed to say and do the right things. So that is the additional message that God wants us to know today as we are navigating this energy. And it really does makes sense in correspondence with the aspects today and what I was saying earlier about sort of like not making mountains out of molehills in this energy, or not taking some type of like action or starting some type of conflict or provocation as a result of there just being something going on within us that we're sort of projecting today as a result of this like conflict and this desire to act or to not act, this moon square Mars. But then like as we're going throughout the day and we come to later in the day when the moon squares Venus, really being in a desire to return to the state of inner peace and really not wanting to make waves and earlier in the day that we're not wanting to sort of like have to catch up with on the flip side of the tide, if you know what I mean. So again, I feel like this message is super appropriate in the context of the aspects. Thank you, God, for providing us with this. Wait, you guys, and, you know, just be very sure that you're not overreacting to things in this energy today. It's moon energy, and it will definitely change as we go throughout the day and definitely by tomorrow. So that is what we got for the report today, you guys. Message from the stars, message from the cards. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Share it with your friends if you think that they would be interested. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please leave me comments. I absolutely love your comments. They mean so much to me. I really, really appreciate, seriously, like each and every single one of you guys. Thank you so much. I have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, an Instagram, a TikTok, and a website. Those are in my description box below. And come back with me tomorrow, you guys. We're gonna have even more astrology to talk about, and I will be here and you don't want to miss it. So I will see you then. Have a beautiful day, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.